guys, it's Rebecca Versat. In today's video, I'm going to be testing a theory. I just got done editing all of my 6 Looks 1 palette for the mini controversy palette, and I noticed that I had issues with the blues in this palette, just like I did with the blues in the Jawbreaker palette. I'm still recovering from being sick. I do have you guys zoomed in. But what I'm going to be doing is, because this canceled shade gives me so many issues, I want to try it with different things. I did use the BH Cosmetics, like the waterproof eyeshadow primer underneath the eyeshadows when I was recording those looks, but I found that it was like super patchy. I have very, very, very dry eyelids. I can go days without like washing my actual face, and it doesn't ever get oily. So I wanted to test a theory. So I'm going to be using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk on one eye, and then the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in 00 Fair on the other eye, to see if this shadow will grab differently on different products. I have tried it on dry eyelids, like I did when I did the recap video. I did use this with nothing on my eyes. I've used it with primer, like eyeshadow primer on, and it seems to be giving me a hard time. So this is just a test. I'm not doing anything else to my face. This is just to see if I can get this eyeshadow to not look patchy. Like in the brushes and stuff that I was using, it's not like the crap brushes. I have my SL Miss Glam brush that I used with it. I used the Farrah brush with it. I used the Farrah, it's like a tapered blending brush with it. I even tried it with a little flat synthetic brush, and my Vera Mona shader brush I also used, all with that one shade. So what I'm going to be doing is using several different brushes. I have several here. I have I have a Glamour Dolls brush, the BH 103, I have a Farrah mini tapered blending, a Morphe E36, and this is a Wet n Wild. I think they call this a concealer brush. Could be the crease brush. Maybe that one's the crease brush, and this is a concealer brush. I don't know. They both look very similar. The only difference is the length of the bristles. So I've got all natural hair brushes here. I mean, not natural, they're synthetic. I don't have any natural hair brushes here. I do have a couple of natural hair brushes left, but I don't know what the deal is with these blue shadows, but in the Jawbreaker palette I had issues with them. You put them on and then you go to blend and it like erases the eyeshadow off your lid. So I don't know what is going on, but I'm gonna see if I can get this to work. So I'm going to just kind of put this on my eye, and then I'm gonna blend it out with my finger. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is just a test. I still have, I'm recording this on Thanksgiving. I'm Native American. We don't really celebrate Thanksgiving. Just because, you know, pilgrims came here to this country and mass murdered my grandmother's tribe up there. My mom's mom was born in Quebec, so she's part Mohican Indian. So a lot of the northern tribes got pretty wiped out with what the settlers and stuff were doing up there in the northern territories. So I'm not really a big fan of holidays that glorify abusing Native Americans. We'll just leave it at that. All right, so I'm gonna go in with my Glamour Dolls brush. All of my brushes are clean except for the few I just showed you. I'm gonna go into this canceled shade, and this is the only shade I'm gonna be using, period. I'm gonna zoom you in a little bit more. I have to remember when you're zoomed in not to do this, because my screen is still broken on my viewfinder. Everything is upside down and I have a hard time with it. So I do have some dry patches up here in the front of my eye. Don't know if you can see it. And then because my eyes have been watering like crazy because of coughing and whatnot, the outsides of my eyes are also a little dry. I'm using really, really light pressure. And then I'll slowly apply pressure as I go. But I just want to see if maybe using something different than what I was doing will stop this from being so damn patchy. I mean, basically I have a palette that has 2 shades in it out of 9 that give me difficulties. And I've seen people create looks with these, but I haven't seen, like, I don't know. Nobody's really talked about the same issues that I'm having. So I figured I would, you know, talk about it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my eye, and this blue shade is making a disaster of my palette. It's got like blue fallout everywhere. Get off there, making a mess. It doesn't want to grab by my lash line. See how it's like bare right by my lash line? It doesn't want to grab there. And then right here, it also looks like it doesn't want to grab. So let's see if I can get it to play nicely. It still seems like patchy looking. And since I have so much blue down here, I might as well just run the brush under there too. The reason why I'm keeping my eye closed the whole time is this shade burns the shit out of my eyes. I don't know what is in this eyeshadow, but it makes my eyes sting. It still looks patchy in here, and up here it looks like I'm missing product. So I'm gonna take a Morphe, the E36, which is like a more precise brush, and I'm gonna try and use this to get in there. And see if I can get it to cover any of these spots that I'm having issues with. That seems to have helped. So let me run back over with this and see, because what I was having problems with is that if I ran a brush back over, like I even used my finger at one point to pack the shade on, and when I went back over it with a brush at all to blend, it like blended away back to that little bald spot. So I want to give this a nice blend, top, bottom, sides, everywhere that I've got this blue. And yes, it's going to look crazy, but that's okay. I don't think my vacuum is going to mind, because I have to vacuum the living room. Because when people moved out of my house a week ago, they left the room an absolute disaster, and I've been too sick to do much about it. I think, other than one little spot, like right up in here, let me see if I can show you. Right up in this area here, I'm having a little bit of issues still. With it being a little bit patchy, but it's nowhere near what it was. So far the jumbo eye pencil seems to be working. We'll set those brushes down. I'm gonna put a bloop of this on my eye and then blend that out. And then I will try 2 more different brushes. Now I've had a couple of people ask about brushes and stuff lately. I will do I have it on my list. I will do a breakdown, I'll probably record it today, and I'll split it up into 2 parts. What I'm gonna do is I will talk about what brushes I own for like face brushes and things like that as one part, and then I will go over eye brushes and stuff in part 2. That way you guys know what all brushes I own. Now some of my brushes I have, most of them I've gotten from like Ipsy. Okay, so that should be pretty good and blended. My finger's now ghostly. I'm gonna try this BH Cosmetics. This is the 103 brush. It's kind of like a fluffier domed brush. So we'll see how this does with this eyeshadow. Because with this brush, I would normally be able to like pack shadow and blend at the same time. Wow, my eye looks kind of crazy like this, don't it? Okay. So I'm just gonna tap the shadow on like I normally would to pack. And accidentally touch the outside edge, which is fine. And then I'm gonna swipe to blend. Maybe it just didn't like the silicone primer that I put on. Now granted, this color is gonna be quite a bit lighter than the other side because the base is so much more stark. I'm not really having too many patchy issues right off the bat, so. Maybe a spot up here. I'm getting a little bit of patchiness in there. Just ever so slightly. I'm just doing like I did on the other eye, just kind of blending it out and giving it a good run for its money. But I'm not having near as many issues as I was having before. So my conclusion is that maybe it just doesn't like, number one, it doesn't like a natural eyelid. So you have to have something on for like it to grab to. I feel a little crazy with this all the way out here. It also doesn't seem to work well with my silicone-based primer, which, let me grab it. It's this one here. And this is the BH Studio Pro Waterproof Eye Primer. I have, I'm blurry. I do have the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, I think is what it's called, the standard one. I have that, but it's basically the same ingredients as the BH one. So there's no point in me trying to compare it with that. I think it's much darker on the side that I use the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil on. It's much lighter on the ColourPop side. I didn't have near as much patchiness on the ColourPop side. You watched what I did. All I'm gonna do is just speed this up just a little bit so that you're not sitting there watching me, you know, blend eyeshadow for the whole time. But I think they both work well. With the NYX side, I had to build it up just a little bit and blend it out, and I did use 2 brushes. With the other side, I just used the one. So I think between primer base as well as brushes, you need to be careful with what you're using because this palette is kind of finicky. I don't know. Like I said, I had issues with the blue shade as well in the Jawbreaker palette. Both of the blue shades in there gave me tremendous issues when it came to packing on, becoming like transparent, translucent, holy looking, like it was a mess. It really, when I tried using the shadows out of there, I ended up wiping an eye look off multiple times because of the issues that I had with it. So now that I know that these 2 products will work well under this blue shadow, I might go back and revisit those shades in the Jawbreaker palette and see if that might help. So hopefully this is helpful to somebody. I just know for me personally, as I was editing my footage back, I was like, oh, that looks like crap. And I even put a thing that comes across the screen that says, I think the Jeffree Star Cosmetics blue eyeshadows hate me. I really do. I love blue eyeshadow, and I've always been one of those kids that always had that like powdery baby pastel blue shade that has always been like my eye-catching color. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved blue eyeshadow. I think my first Avon eyeshadow was blue, and my second one was like a teal color. And I've always been told because I have blue eyes, I can't wear blue eyeshadow. Well, I'm wearing blue eyeshadow. Do I need to throw on a blue lip too? Anyways, so hopefully this is helpful. I know that when I sit and play with makeup, I have certain things that I pay attention to and other things kind of like slip my mind, or like I gloss over them, or I put something over them when I realize there's an issue and I don't really talk about it. And I need to stop doing that. I need to start catching myself and making myself accountable for bringing this to the light instead of glossing over it. There's been a couple of times when I've had issues and I've just tried so hard to make things work and they're not working, and I didn't talk about it. So I'm gonna stop doing that because it irritates me. And if you can piss yourself off, you're doing pretty good. So that is the purpose of why I stopped editing. I went ahead and edited it, added the music, got it all synced up and everything. I was rendering it before I came in here because just going through that video and editing it irritated me enough that made me want to go and see what I could do differently. And if you find you are having issues with an eyeshadow, try something like this. Try putting a little bit of concealer on your eyelids, try a different eye primer, try a wet brush, and I'm talking just regular tap water wet, not some setting spray, whatever crap. I don't use setting sprays on my eyes because they burn my skin. Try using like a foundation, just a bloop of, like a dot of foundation, just something that's different than what you're using, and test some theories out and see. I mean, you might look just as crazy as I do right now, but I honestly don't care. Like I said, my vacuum cleaner ain't gonna care. My dad had to go to work this morning, and like I said, it's the 28th of November. It is Thanksgiving, and so other than the cats and the dog, there ain't nobody else gonna see me like this before I get a shower in the next hour and a half, 2 hours. So it's not like it really matters. But if you have an issue with an eyeshadow, try something a little different. Try putting something a little bit different on underneath and seeing if that helps. Sometimes if you have really, really dry eyelids, you need to ultra moisturize your skin first and then try it. Sometimes putting something like this on, that when it dries down, it does dry down like a powder, like it's still on my finger. But it gave like enough of a little bit of tack to the skin that it gave the shadow something to grab onto. This here is also kind of tacky on the skin, but it feels just like the other one because whatnot. But I don't know if you can see the difference on my two fingers. This was the NYX one, this was the ColourPop one. You can see the ColourPop one embedded in my finger. Or not. And then here's the next one. So I don't know. I think that the ColourPop one does a really good job of going over the skin and like filling in all the little cracks and crevices and then kind of like smoothing it out. I think that was one aspect of it that it did that I liked. The NYX one just becomes part of the skin, and so it doesn't look as, that's why this side is also darker. They're both a white base, but I think you can still see the ColourPop out here on my skin. You can see it up here, and you can see it in here. So it is quite a bit lighter than the NYX, and I tried to do the same all over thing. But even up here where there's still NYX, because I can still feel it, it doesn't look as stark white as this side here. So again, hopefully this is helpful. I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. I will see you guys in another video, hopefully tomorrow. I've got 2 more videos to get edited right now that I've got filmed. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a brush video. I've got, other than the few dirty brushes that I have, all of my brushes are clean right now. So I'll probably just point you down at the camera or at the counter or something just to show you all of the brushes and talk about them and that kind of thing. And I will leave the brushes linked in the description box when I do that video as well, just to give you an idea of everything that I have, that is if they still make it. So I've got those 2 videos to do today. So I will see you guys later.